All right, ready for a deep dive?
Always. Let's do it.
Today we're talking film photography. With the camera that's a blast from the past,
Okay.
the Minolta Freedom Zoom 150.
Wow, that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Right, you sent us a ton of stuff about it, reviews, forum posts, the works. Let's see what all the buzz is about.
Sounds like fun. It's like opening a time capsule,
Yeah.
you know? Seeing what people thought back then.
Exactly. And to kick things off, I'm seeing two names for this camera. Minolta Freedom Zoom 150 and Riva Zoom 150. What's the deal?
Ah, yeah. Little bit of camera trivia for you.
Yeah.
Riva was Minolta's brand name in some places, especially Europe. Same camera, different name, basically.
Huh, interesting. Like a secret identity?
Kind of.
So, whatever we call it, the big question is how'd it do? One thing that pops up in the reviews, this thing was TINY.
Oh, yeah.
People loved how small and quiet it was. Still pretty impressive today, actually.
Oh, for sure. Back then, everyone had these big, clunky cameras. So this thing was a game changer. Pocketable, discreet, you could take it anywhere.
Yeah, no more. Everybody say cheese. It's like a ninja camera.
Exactly. And that quiet shutter. Perfect for candid shots. You weren't interrupting the moment.
Subtle. I like it. Okay, but how are the pictures? I'm seeing good things about the image quality as long as you weren't zoomed in all the way.
Yeah, the lens is surprisingly good, especially for its size. It's got these things called aspherical elements. Sounds complicated, but basically they help keep your photos nice and sharp.
Fancy. So not professional grade, but good enough for everyday use.
Exactly. Perfect for capturing memories and adventures.
And speaking of capturing the moment, everyone raved about the autofocus. Fast and accurate.
Oh yeah, that was a big deal. This wasn't for pros with their manual settings. It was point and shoot, easy to use. Minolta wanted you to focus on the moment, not the camera.
Makes sense. Just point, shoot, and you're good to go.
That's the idea.
Okay, so this camera sounds pretty great so far. But I'm guessing there's got to be some downsides, right? Nothing's perfect.
Right, there are always trade-offs.
Yeah.
And one thing that comes up is that zoom lens. It's a good zoom range, especially for the time, but a few people mentioned some lens flare at the 150 millimeter in.
So maybe avoid pointing it straight at the sun then.
Probably a good idea, yeah. Especially at full zoom. Even a really good lens can only handle so much.
Makes sense. Now, what about that autofocus? The wide autofocus area could actually be a problem sometimes.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. They were saying how they were trying to take a picture and there was something closer to them in the foreground. And the camera focused on that instead of what they actually wanted.
Ugh, yeah, I've done that. It's like, why is the tree in focus, but my friend's a blur? So frustrating.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But once you know about it, you can work around it. Compose your shot differently or use the focus lock.
Right, focus lock. Remind me how that works again. It's been a while.
So you basically aim at what you want in focus, hold the shutter button down halfway to lock it, then you can recompose the shot without the focus changing.
Ah, okay, so it's like tricking the camera a little.
Pretty much.
Clever. Okay, so we've got the zoom lens, quirks, autofocus adventures. Anything else we should mention?
Some models had a built-in date feature.
Wait, seriously, like it stamped the date on the picture.
Yep, exactly like those old disposables. Little blast from the past.
Wow, I didn't realize those were still around then. Huh, some people must love that.
Oh yeah, instant nostalgia. But then others, not so much.
Yeah, I can see both sides. It's cool to have the date, especially if you're bad at remembering. But then again, it does kind of date the photo, you know? Like, this is what I thought was cool in 1999.
Exactly. It's funny how technology changes how we remember things.
It really is. So, as we wrap up here, what's the verdict? Is the Minolta Freedom Zoom 150 something you'd recommend?
Well, we've seen a lot of different perspectives, good and bad.
That's the beauty of these deep dives. We get the whole picture.
Totally. And what's clear is this camera was for a specific type of photographer. Someone who wanted simplicity, easy to use, point and shoot, capture the moment.
No fuss, no muss.
Exactly. And when it worked, it really worked. Sharp lens, quick autofocus, quiet shutter, those were big selling points.
They still hold up today.
For sure. But like with anything, there were compromises.
Yeah.
That zoom lens flare, the autofocus could be tricky. And of course, those reliability issues are a concern.
That's always a trade-off. No perfect camera out there.
Nope. The best camera is the one that gets you excited to take pictures.
So true. All right, before we go, any final thoughts for our listeners? We talked about this camera being stealthy. What are some situations where that would be a real advantage?
Good question. Well, street photography comes to mind. Blending in, capturing those candid moments.
Ooh, yeah, or travel photography. Documenting without being too obvious.
Exactly. Or even just everyday life, those natural, unposed shots.
The best kind. Well, this has been fantastic. Big thanks to our expert for, well, being an expert on the Minolta Freedom Zoom 150, or is it the Riva Zoom 150?
Either way.
Until next time, everyone, get out there and keep shooting.